Oh, do you want? Never mind.
Hello, and welcome to the Full Send Half Mast Podcast, episode 26. I am here with Tom. How are you doing this evening, Tom?
Oh, baby, I'm sitting here in the hotel room in old Birmingham, ready to talk about some racing.
Talking about some racing. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We had a onslaught of races this weekend with F1, IndyCar, doubleheader there at Iowa, Pocono with all the NASCAR leagues. We had some IMSA racing over at Lime Rock, and then SRX Part 2 at Stafford. We also got a bunch of news to cover. I guess a decent amount of news since we've been gone for a week. And then we'll also preview this weekend's races coming up. We'll go through our infamous driver of the week, bonehead of the week segments. We'll go through the points. I mean, we're getting close to the end of the season. A lot of these series points are heating up. And then we will also give you our NASCAR fantasy for this weekend, as well as our infamous radioactive of the week segment. But before we get into it, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. W Energy Blends, introducing Neurofactor, an all-natural coffee cherry extract to help fuel you with energy, laser focus, and fast reflexes. Provides concentration with important amino acids, vitamins, without the crash that ordinary canned energy drinks just cannot provide. Try amazing flavors such as Dragonade, Dub Sludge, Galaxy Grenade, and my personal favorite, Beach and Peach. Buy the starter pack today, including 2 flavors and a shake cup for an extremely low price. Follow the link in the description below and use promo code DEGABOYS for 10% off your order. Thanks to Dubby for your continued sponsorship of Degaboys Broadcasting. Alrighty. Well, thank you again to Dubby. Hopefully you guys go get some Dubby. Some great stuff. Definitely love their flavors. But first off, we're going to get right into some news. First off, last week, I think it was Wednesday after the podcast, we got announcement that Justin Haley signs with Rick Ware Racing for a multi-year contract. I mean, what are your thoughts on Justin Haley leaping away from colleague to go to Rick Ware Racing of all places?
Uh, uh, my brother in Christ, what are you doing? I, what? I don't. That's like one of those things where it's like you question if you're in real life. You know, I mean, okay, let's be honest here. Justin Haley's pretty mid, but like to go to RWR, I mean, you got to be at like an all-time low self-confidence. I mean, I don't know, man. That's just crazy to me, honestly.
Yeah, I don't believe it. I had to, when I saw the article and I was reading it, I was like, this is definitely some clickbait fake stuff. And then I just kept popping up, popping up,
Yeah.
popping up. I'm like, what? Did we just cross over to a new dimension? Like, I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Is it money? Is the potential for Rick
It's
Ware Racing
gotta
higher?
be.
I mean, where are
It
we at?
can't be. I mean, okay, so they have a technical alliance with SHR. Ooh. I mean, they're gonna do so much, you know? Like I do not get it. And I don't think that colleague was expecting that either.
Yeah, that was kind of my next point. Now that Justin Haley's leaving colleague, what kind of options do they have? Do they stay inside that stable, bring a Daniel Hemrick in, or Chandler Smith? I don't think he's ready for Cup yet. I think he's a great driver. I don't think he's ready, but who's gonna go to colleague, right?
Well, I think that Chandler Smith would be a better option than Daniel Hemrick, but I mean, you're if your colleague, you're put into a situation now where you do have that option to maybe cherry pick someone, or you have that option to move up an Xfinity driver, or I'm not saying that moving up the Xfinity driver is the way to go. Um, I mean, obviously their program has struggled a little bit this year, and so maybe it would be better to go and try and cherry pick someone with a little bit of experience and a couple years under their belt. Even like I don't really think it'd be crazy to see if like Matt DiBenedetto got in that car, or because he's got the experience and he's driven for teams that had a lot less than other teams and has gotten great results. I mean, I would be looking at an opportunity like that, but I don't know. I'm with you. I don't think that Chandler Smith is ready for Cup necessarily. And I don't think Daniel Hemrick is Cup caliber. So
No.
I that's just my opinion.
The only guy that comes to mind, because you already got the veteran of Allmendinger, the guy that comes to mind the most Cup ready guy, I believe, in any lowered series division right now is Austin Hill. We see Austin Hill maybe leap away from RCR and maybe take a chance at colleague. Interesting to see.
Maybe.
If you guys got an opinion, leave it in the comment section below. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and we'll keep you updated if we hear anything. Obviously, here at the Dig Up Boys Broadcasting. Next, big announcement out of the World Endurance Championship with Glickenhaus, right? Hypercar team. They have withdrawn from the rest of the season due to sponsorship issues. My thought on this personally is it's sad to see a team like Glickenhaus not have an opportunity. I know that they're not a funded team, not well-known team, have got a lot of historic value to them, but you need the, I guess we talked about this a little bit on Sunday, we need the AJ Foyt racings, we need the Rick Ware racings, we need the Live Fast racings, we need the Junko Hollinger racings of the world to make racing work, right? You need these backmarker teams, field filler teams to make the series continue on. So it's just, hopefully we see Glickenhaus be able to gain sponsorship and continue, because we obviously are seeing Lamborghini test the waters with going into World Endurance Championship and Hypercar. McLaren is looking into it potentially in the future, as well as other teams around the world or other manufacturers are potentially looking into getting into it. I mean, what are your thoughts on the sponsorship thing with Glickenhaus? Am I spot on with that, or?
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate. I always thought, that Glickenhaus had moments of great. I mean, I'm not saying that they're like, BMW or Cadillac or well. Look, I just it's crappy. I really wish that they could have found a way. I don't know. Maybe do like a buy seat or something. I don't know. It just sucks. It really does.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. But on a better note here, the FIA potentially, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, is approving 2 new teams to join the Formula One ranks in the upcoming years: Andretti Autosport with Cadillac, as well as High Tech. So, what are your thoughts on some more F1 teams? All right, this is some good news.
Awesome. This is what it needs, baby. This a US based team. Okay, well, other than Haas, but Haas is still. I mean, Haas is really based in England. I mean, really. But well, Andretti might too. I don't know. I think it's just great to add more teams, anyways. And this is a step in the right direction, no matter what that crybaby Total Wolf says.
Yeah, this is it. The best part about this is adding, but not replacing, right? Because
Yes.
adding more seats or more entries into F1 instead of replacing teams that are already existing or buying out other teams. This is a big move forward for the FIA. Big dub for Formula One. This is something NASCAR could maybe look into here in the future with adding more charters, getting more teams added to the field. But then again, we're talking about Big Daddy NASCAR, and even FIA is one step ahead of Big Daddy NASCAR here. This is some big news here out of the FIA. Another big drop here is Junko's Hollinger dropped Nannini from their team. I mean, this guy is an absolute clown, in my opinion. He did get that dominant win there at Indianapolis Road Course, but what a clown this guy had been in every other race. I mean, absolute dumpster guy. Like, this guy is an absolute clown. The racing experience he had, and then to come over to the States and just completely do some of the things he was doing was just absolutely ridiculous. This guy was a meme in himself, and probably a good idea for Junko's Hollinger to drop this man here.
Yeah, I think that he took taking Pastor Maldonado as an idol a little too far. I really do.
That is deep.
Yeah. They got to be related somehow.
Yeah, some way, somehow. Yeah. I mean, that's a great comparison there. I like that. And then also, we noted last week that Kostecki was going to be driving in the Indianapolis Road Course. We've noted the amount of entries for this race. It's just building and building for the Indy Road Course. Add Shane Van Gisbergen. He's coming back, baby. He's going to get back in the Trackhouse car. Start number 2. Does he go 2 for 2, Tom?
I honestly think that it's gonna be. Absolutely he could do it. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of luck involved with winning a NASCAR race because of how dirty everybody drives now because people just don't care anymore. But excitement. And I think it's great. But absolutely, I think Gisbergen can do it, and I think that Kostecki could do it too. Kobayashi is a different I guess aspect there. Just keep him away from Takuma Sato, and I think we won't get any bonsais going into turn 1.
Heck yeah. All right, and our last little bit of news here is Marcus Ericsson going to Andretti next year. I mean, whoa, bombshell, right? Leaving
Rumor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not confirmed. Rumor. Wow, if this does happen, this is some crazy news. I mean, leaving Ganassi? Really?
Yeah.
That's weird to me.
It is. It's weird to me too. The only thing that I can think of is that Devlin DeFrancesco just did not perform like what he needed to, and maybe. And Andretti has been. I mean, yeah, okay. They won with Kyle Kirkwood. They got 2 poles with Herta, but I mean, other than that, it's been dismal. I mean, it's just been terrible for the Andretti camp this year. And honestly, I'd like to take this one step further. It just goes to show that Rossi was not the issue. I just want to say that. But you know what? Ericsson to Andretti might not be a bad move. I mean, let's be honest here. Scott Dixon gets a lot of clout because he's Scott Dixon, and Palou is just pulling a Verstappen-esque season this year, and there's been no highlight really to Ericsson, and maybe he feels a little left out. It would take a lot of money if I was Ericsson for me to go to Andretti, but I mean, it might just be a fresh start that he might need. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very baffling to me. I mean, yeah, baffling to me. My thought is if he goes to Andretti, I mean, basically Ganassi is going to have a top tier ride open to basically for the picking, right? He can go cherry pick the best driver he wants to go fill in there. So, wow, that's going to leave a big snowball effect in IndyCar.
It could be another V8 supercar driver too. I mean, look how well Penske's done with McLaughlin.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it opens up the big
V8
snowball.
I'm starting to think that these V8 supercar drivers are just like gods among men. Because everybody's just cherry picking them right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it makes me wonder where more of these guys are going to go do other types of racing around the world. I could see some guys jumping into IMSA rides or World Endurance Championship rides, or I mean, we could see some crazy stuff come out of these V8 supercar guys. So, yeah, great time to be alive as a racing fan. Just all of the different talent coming across the world and all these different series. It's just a great time in racing. But we'll talk more about that as we continue this podcast. That'll do it for the news. Next, we're just going to go straight into race reviews from this weekend as we saw F1, F2 at Hungary, Indiana XT at Iowa, all the NASCAR series, ARCA Trucks Xfinity Cup at Pocono, as well as IMSA over at Lime Rock, kind of half IMSA, and then also SRX at Stafford, race number 2. We're going to start off with the Thursday SRX race. Tony Stewart ended up winning Heat 1, Keselowski won Heat 2, not a whole lot to talk about there. But Ryan Preece ends up going on pole, and how they set pole is by your average finish run Heat 1 and 2. He was led the majority of the beginning of this race. We saw a caution lap 33 when we saw Kenny Wallace stall. Just had a pretty dismal event, honestly. And then we saw Tony Kanaan take the lead on lap 47 when we saw Ryan Preece drive up the track into the wall. Reported brake issues, end up DNFing from the race due to brake issues. That wasn't the last of brake issues here, right? We had a caution with 9 to go between Haley Deegan and Paul Tracy. Just basically, yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about there. You guys can draw your own opinions out of that deal. But why to mention that caution is because it changed the race, right? Now we got a restart here late with 9 to go. Tony Kanaan is your leader. He drives into turn 1 and just right up the track into the wall, similar to Ryan Preece. No brakes. Absolutely no brakes. This was a hard lick, man. That car was destroyed after this. And really kind of opened the door up for Ryan Newman to take the lead there with 6 to go over Suarez, and he ends up winning the race. I think me and Tom both picked him as our favorite last week in the podcast, so boom, we nailed that one. That was a great performance by Ryan Newman. And to take note of that, we'll go over the SRX points. I didn't do it last week because it's one race, small sample size, but now that we're 2 races in, it's a good time to look at the points. Ryan Newman is your points leader with 76 points. He is 15 points ahead of Andretti and 23 points ahead of Paul Tracy. So Newman is looking like the championship favorite a third of the way through the season. That's crazy. We're 2 races in. We're already a third of the way done with that baby. That's awesome. So, yeah, we'll talk more about SRX here later with our race previews for this coming weekend. Next, we're going to talk about the ARCA race, right? The ARCA at Pocono, the Sunset Hill Shooting Range 150. We saw Jesse Love on pole. Then we saw my dark horse. I picked Jesse Love as my favorite. I picked Andres Perez as my dark horse. Perez takes the lead there on lap 9. And he kind of controlled this race for a while. We saw a caution there with Mizuraka. I don't know. There's not a whole lot to say about that. She's a Celsius driver. I mean, kind of there for the show. Do you want to add anything to that, Tom? I know you're itching to add some. Or are you gonna leave it alone?
No, I'll leave it. I don't really need to say anything.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't really want to say anything either. But yeah, so there was a caution there, and then we saw another caution with Dezant there on lap 20. Basically the ultimate change of this race here was with 16 to go, we got a restart. Perez has been leading pretty much this whole race. He ends up spinning his tires on this restart. Ends up getting up into the wall, make contact with another driver, I believe. Really took his entire chance of winning the race away from him after being the dominant car. I mean, just what a performance by Andres Perez right here in this race. I guess the biggest incident in this race was on with 14 to go. Sean Corr. We'll let the footage play and then we'll talk about it here. Alrighty. So, as you saw there, did that car have brakes? Was that an ARCA brake moment?
This is my racetrack. Get the heck off of it.
I almost want to play it again. It's that great, man. It's that good of a video.
Look,
I mean,
so the Nexus Sim Racing guys and I, we ran a 24-hour race or the 24 hours of Spa last weekend, and I'm not joking with you. What we just witnessed there, I probably experienced 3 times in an hour run on iRacing. All right, anybody can play iRacing. You know, I'll leave it at that. I'll let you take your own judgments from that. That it was comical. Don't get me wrong, but my guy.
I mean, the guys that were coming there on the inside. I mean, wow, underwear change for sure, man. What an absolute move, man. Just it spins, lets go of the brakes, and just drives down the track with cars coming. That's bold. That is a bold moment. But you, Sean Corr, sir, are going to be nominated as a Bonehead of the Week. We'll get to you here later. And then after this race, we saw Jesse Love end up winning the race. So my favorite wins. My dark horse, unfortunately, had that mistake there with 16 to go on the restart. Cost himself a chance to win. Although, Andres Perez, we're going to nominate him as a driver of the week because he finished P3 in this race. And not only was it just P3, great result, but the fact that he dominated this race. I mean, absolutely was the best car. Just unfortunate that he had that tire spin there on that restart. Took him out of contention to win the race.
Hey, also, how about Tony Breidinger? Another top 5.
Telling you, best female driver in NASCAR. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
And if you have a different opinion, then you don't watch. That's just all I am saying. I mean, the stats alone back it up. I mean, it's crazy. She's having a phenomenal year. Absolute phenomenal year. All right, next we're going to talk about the Indy NXT, the Firestone, Iowa. We saw Jacob Abel on pole. Note here, I did take Jacob Abel as my dark horse. That's pretty great. And I also took Rasmussen as my favorite. But lap 2, Rasmussen ends up taking the lead, ends up just dominating this race, just led from there on to the end. The major incident in this race was caution on lap 16. We had Nolan Siegel as well as McElray end up battling there. I believe it was for second at the time. Maybe it was third. Siegel was up on the outside, and McElray just drove it in the corner and completely washed up the track and just took Siegel completely out. Siegel at this point, if he would have finished where he was at, he would have been, I believe it was like 3 points, maybe a little bit less than that, behind Rasmussen for the championship, and then ends up getting taken out there by McElray. Just a complete boneheaded move on McElray's part. And now it relegates Siegel way behind Rasmussen in the championship. And to note, Rasmussen did end up taking the dub. So just devastating for Nolan Siegel. Just takes him completely, basically a race behind Rasmussen, unless Rasmussen has one of these type of races where he doesn't finish or gets a terrible result. It's pretty much wrapping up for him. So unfortunate for Nolan Siegel, but congratulations, Rasmussen ends up taking the dub. So yeah, I went 3 for 3 for my favorites there to start off the weekend. That was pretty good on Saturday. Actually, I went 4 for 4 because what we're about to talk about next is the first race of the double header for IndyCar at Iowa, the Hy-Vee Homefront 250. We saw Will Power qualify on pole. He dominated the first half of the race, and then Newgarden ends up taking the lead lap 121. The only incident in this race was on lap 155 with Graham Rahal. He ends up going wide up the track, ends up making contact, DNFs out the race. But, I mean, from the time Newgarden took the lead, he was an absolute dominant car. Ends up winning his 28th career race, at the time of 3 for 3 on ovals for this season. Just insane what this guy can do on ovals. That puts me 4 for 4 on the weekend right there so far. How crazy is that? I was kicking butt at this point on Saturday. Just killing it. Congratulations to Newgarden. I mean, we'll talk about that more with the second race here, but closing that gap on Palou, right? It's just a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Next, we'll talk about the truck race, the CRC Brake Clean 150. Saw Nick Sanchez on pole. We saw a caution early with Tanner Gray crashing. Zane Smith ends up taking the lead there lap 9. He ends up using his strategy to his benefit. He wins stage 1. He wins stage 2. Corey Heim cycles to lead stage 3 with an alternate strategy, which, if you guys watched last week's podcast, I also took Corey Heim to win this race. So this was looking like it was going to be 5 for 5 for me. He ends up leading this race until we had a big one, actually, with 9 to go. Just, I think it was like 4 or 5, 6 different cars involved, just a big wreck. This allowed Kyle Busch to kind of close back in on the Corey Heim battle, and ultimately ends up passing Corey Heim on the white flag to win the race. Just a great performance there by Kyle Busch to make it happen to get around Corey Heim. I mean, he had a better car, in my opinion. Outdrove Kyle Busch. Just unfortunately made a mistake there off of turn 1, allowed Kyle Busch to get by him, and Kyle Busch set off to win. And this was a milestone victory for Kyle Busch Motorsports, right? It was their 100th win in the Truck Series. How crazy is that? That's insane. I can't remember Kyle Busch Motorsports being around that long. I mean, how time has flown, right?
I remember when Kyle Busch Motorsports was created, and then Kyle Busch was just driving every race he could. I mean, he was probably starting 2/3 of the season for every truck and Xfinity race, and on top of that doing Cup. So it's cool to see. I just remember when they were babies in the sport.
Yeah. Time flies, man. Time flies. That's crazy. And then, I mean, just the fraternity of drivers that have won for him. You mean, look at it now. You've got Christopher Bell is in the Cup Series. William Byron's in the Cup Series now. Eric Jones. Yeah. And then you've also had John Hunter Nemechek in recent years. Yeah, just crazy, the fraternity that has driven for and won races for Kyle Busch Motorsports. That's crazy. So, yep, that killed my streak. I was 4 for 4. I was 1 lap away from being 5 for 5. Just wanted to note that. Only at Dega Boys Broadcasting. All right, next is the Xfinity race. I think this was probably one of the better races of the whole weekend. Honestly, it was the Explore the Pocono Mountains 225 for the Xfinity Series. We saw Josh Berry on pole. Josh Berry won stage 1, stage 2, and didn't do it really off strategy either. He just by pure speed. Start of stage 3, we saw Cole Custer, John Hunter Nemechek. I mean, these guys seem to always find each other, right? I mean, it seems like every year, whatever they're racing, they'll end up getting in an incident sometime somewhere. These guys are just magnets to each other. Their history. That was the start of stage 3. End up having contact. Took them both out of contention in this race. And then, really, we had a caution late in this race when it looked like Josh Berry pretty much had it wrapped up. With 11 to go, and Allgaier turned Joey Gase. Just absolutely pile drove him. Changed the complexion of the race for the worse for Junior Motorsports here, right? At this point, we get a green-white checker finish. Hill ends up taking the lead from Berry on this restart. And then Josh Berry and Sam Mayer make contact off of the turn 1 down the back, going into before they got to the tunnel turn. Ends up sending Berry right into the wall. I mean, just straight up took his tire down. Sam Mayer's all damaged. Then Justin Allgaier has contact there on that last green-white checker. He ends up losing his rear end, or his rear tailpiece. He ends up going into the wall. I mean, it just fell apart there at the last lap for Junior Motorsport. This was almost reminiscent of Daytona earlier this year, right? When they had that race basically dominated and then they all found a way to lose. I mean, this was the same scenario. They all cost each other a chance to win this race. Oh, man. Austin Hill, 4th win of the season. On a different style track, right? This wasn't a track that I expected Austin Hill to be good at. Ends up taking the dub. I mean, granted, he did kind of steal it there from Josh Berry, but I mean, what a job by Austin Hill to get that job done there on that restart.
Yeah, he 10th place car, you know. I mean, he was definitely a top 5 car, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I'm just I'm sold on Austin Hill. I think I've said this many times already this season. I'm just sold on Austin Hill. There's no more questions I really have about this guy. I mean, if there was one nitpicky thing I could take, it would probably be his road racing ability. But then again, I mean, if you can win 4 ovals in a year, I mean, that's not a bad season at all. And considering there's only one road race in the playoffs anyway, I mean, there's nothing you can really knock on Hill. I think he's cup ready. And I think we'll see it sooner than later. Yeah. All right. We'll just brush on the Formula 2 weekend real quick. The sprint race saw Mini on pole. But it didn't change the fact that I think I have monitor issues here. Okay, I am back. I had my monitors just decided to turn off on me. That was unfortunate. Sorry about that, guys. Seems like the technical difficulties continue to pop up here at the Dega Boys Broadcasting. Okay, Formula 2, the safety car lap 12 with the Beauchamp going off the track. Didn't prevent Hauger from winning the race. Got the dub. I believe it was his first ever Formula 2 win, so that was good for him. And then the feature, we saw Jack Doohan. He qualified, or he was the pole sitter. He just led flag to flag victory there, so he takes the Formula 2 dub there in the feature. Next, we're going to talk about IMSA. This weekend was just the GTD Pro, like we mentioned, at Lime Rock. we saw it was the FCP Euro Northeast Grand Prix. We saw the number 23 Mercedes on pole. Really, we had a few incidents here. We had Andretti and Metni. They had an incident where they got together, both went off track. Pretty big collision there. We also saw a big crash for the number 70 Inception McLaren. Go look this wreck up. It was violent. This dude went off track into the tire barrier. It was a violent, violent wreck. Fortunately, walked away from it, but probably a little disappointed still with the performance that they had there to wreck. But huge weekend for Heart of Racing, right? Their number 23 Mercedes qualifies on pole, ends up winning the race there with Riberas and Gunn and GTD Pro, as well as their sister car in the GTD class with Sorensen and DeAngelis. They end up winning GTD. So Heart of Racing sweeps the races there in Lime Rock Park. Huge moment for them. We definitely missed that one. We thought it was definitely going to be the Mercedes team there, or the Lexus team, and fortunately it wasn't. I'm having some audio difficulties. Fix that up real quick. All right, we should be good. We should be good again. Maybe not. It could have something to do with my headset. Alrighty. I believe we should be good.
Test.
Yep, we are good.
Yeah.
Seems like when one thing goes wrong, it all just falls apart, but we recover here at the Dega Boys Broadcasting, and we're good to go again. Next, I just want to touch real quick on the IMSA Pilot Challenge Series, the Lime Rock Park 100. We saw the number 37 Honda on pole, but then it turned into a race where the number 98 Hyundai ends up taking the lead there early in the race, and it was really a battle between them and the Honda that started on pole. They went back and forth there for a little while, but the 37 Honda team went with a bold strategy there at the end to try and beat the number 98 because they were just so dominant, that Hyundai, and they were not able to do it. So the number 98 Herta Autosport Hyundai with Wilkins and Filippi end up winning the TCR Lime Rock Park 100 or IMSA Pilot Challenge Series race. Now it's time to talk about the second end of the doubleheader for IndyCar. You, I believe, Tom, took Will Power to win this one. Or no, you picked Power to win the first one, and then you picked Newgarden to win the second one. I picked Newgarden to sweep both, right? I just had such a strong feeling with Newgarden. In this race, we saw Will Power. It kind of played out the same way the first one did, right? Will Power was on pole. Newgarden ended up taking the lead way sooner than he did in the first race on lap 31. The only real incident here was, or I guess there was two incidents. We had a caution on lap 157, Stingray Rob losing wheels. So I guess I got to walk back a little bit of the hate stuff I've been saying on NASCAR with these loose wheels because we saw one in IndyCar this weekend. I guess kind of got to walk it back, but then again, it happens every week in NASCAR. So, I mean, this is like an oddity here, not IndyCar. I don't know. Freak deal, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that was an incident. And then we also had a caution with 11 to go. This was the major wreck in the race with Hunter Ray. Kind of the same that we saw with Ray Hall, up the track into the wall there on the front stretch. But that didn't prevent Newgarden from winning this race. He's 4 for 4 on ovals this year. How crazy is that? He is only one to go, and he's won all of them so far. Insane. Absolutely insane.
It's insane.
And that's what I want to go through is the points, and then I want to ask you, Tom, after we go through the points, what his chances are to beat Palou for the championship. Right now, he has cut that points gap down. Palou's at 477. He is now 80 points behind Palou, and then Dixon's 120 back. Can Newgarden make a late season rally here to beat Palou for the championship?
I mean, anything's possible, right? I don't look. Let's just go back a week ago to Toronto. All right. Palou had such an amazing drive in Toronto, and it was not talked about enough. That man had a broken front wing, playing purely on strategy, and finishes P2. I mean, that man did not have any right to be on the podium at all. and he gets himself there. It's amazing what Palou has done. Now let's go back and look at some of Newgarden's um, greatness this year, right? So we got the Indy 500, which I'm still a little torn on.
Me too.
I don't know. I just don't know, man. I'm not gonna sit here and say that, you know, uh, IndyCar, I don't know. I'm not one of those NASCAR died with Dale Sr. kind of people when it comes to IndyCar. I'm not going to sit here and talk about, or sit on my golden chair here and tell you how IndyCar needs to do it, because we already do that enough with NASCAR. Uh, so I don't know. But we haven't really seen a lot from Newgarden from road courses. That's the majority of the schedule left. I don't think I mean, anything's possible, man. Anything's possible. I just don't think it's enough to catch up with Palou. I just don't think it's enough. I think that Palou has this in the bag, and I don't think Penske's strong enough. I don't think Newgarden's strong enough to be able to compete with Palou and Ganassi at road courses. I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I am glad that you brought up that Toronto drive. I think we were the only ones really that even talked about how amazing of a drive that Palou had at Toronto. I mean,
Yeah.
that drive was probably one of the top 3 drives of the year, looking back to all the great drives we've seen so
Listen,
far this season. That was insane
that
what he was able to do.
that was one of the best drives in the past 15 years of IndyCar, in my opinion. And it was not talked about. It is such an underrated uh, race done by Palou that it's almost criminal, I think.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. And I'm with you too. I don't think Newgarden can do anything to overcome Palou. I mean, we're going back to Indy Road Course here soon, and Palou, I mean, we saw what he was able to do there. And then, like you mentioned, it's mostly all just street courses and road courses left. We got one more oval. I just don't think Newgarden can do enough to beat Palou this year. It's Palou season. It has that feel, and I think that's where we
races. We got 5 races, 1 oval. Looking here, we've got 1 street course and 3 ovals, or three road. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. I mean, Newgarden's got to come out, and I mean, we've got to see something insane come out of Penske. We really do.
Yeah.
I think in order for him to get caught back up to Palou number 1, and then number 2 compete with him.
Yeah, I think Newgarden's going to have to win multiple races in the next couple races. Like, he's going to have to gain a lot of points and show a lot of race winning speed. If even put him in the conversation with Palou. I mean, I'm with you 100%. Alrighty. Next, we're going to talk about the Formula One Hungarian Grand Prix. This weekend, it was Lewis Hamilton qualified on pole. Verstappen was P2 in qualifying. Didn't matter though, because Verstappen took the lead turn 1, lap 1. We had a crash on lap 1 involving Zhu. He ended up stalling on the start. It looked like qualified 5th, didn't get going, and then ends up running into the back of Ricciardo into turn 1. Sent him into the Alpines. Took both the Alpines out of the race. Ruined Ricciardo's race. Just shenanigans, man. Turn 1. Just unfortunate for the Alpines. That was heart-wrenching for me. That was terrible.
Unbelievable. Honestly. Listen, the one time you get put into a good position to start a race and you just absolutely choke it. I mean, let's just talk about, it's like walking out of your front door and the first step you take, you step into your dog's pile of crap. I mean, it's just like, he just killed that. Just terrible. Just terrible.
Yeah, it's just terrible. I mean, there's no other way to describe that. That was perfect analogy. Really, the only notable thing in here is I just wanted to mention is Charles Leclerc got a speeding penalty in this race. I mean, how hard is it to get a speeding penalty in Formula One anymore? I mean, with the pit limiters, it's just a
I don't
Charles
know.
Leclerc move. I mean, I know you're kind of kind of high on Charles Leclerc. I'm not at all. I really don't see it in him. But then again, I don't
Uh,
know. I mean, I don't know anything.
The the past 3 years have been absolutely terrible for that man. I think that Ferrari is doing him dirty, and almost if Ferrari was really high on signs, it would be the exact same situation Daniel Ricciardo was in a few years back or last year with McLaren. So I really do feel like Ferrari is holding Leclerc back. And you know what? I just remembered this. When Sebastian Vettel left Ferrari to go to Aston, he told Leclerc, uh, and he was very open and verbal about it. He told him, "Please do not let Ferrari hold you back." And you know what? That man is very smart. He knew this was going to happen, and it's getting to that point now where I think Leclerc needs to listen to what his old buddy Vettel told him a couple years ago and jump ship. Whether it's to maybe wherever, or maybe some of these new teams coming into F1, we might see Leclerc that go there. But I don't know. I hate it for him. He is a great driver though. He really is. He's just been just put in a terrible situation, I think.
Well, I guess it goes without saying, though, who won this race? Max Verstappen. 7 wins in a row this season. I mean, wow. Insane. And then,
12 in a row for constructor. And
yeah,
that's a new record.
yeah, it's insane. I mean, yeah,
Or
even when
tied for it.
Mercedes was this dominant, I don't remember him being this dominant. Like, this is astronomical what's going on right now with Verstappen. Insane.
Yeah.
And then to note, we got Lando Norris back-to-back P2s, got back on the podium. And then Perez. We haven't seen this guy in a month and a half, 2 months, and he gets back on the podium. I mean, wow.
I think it's been longer than that, hasn't it?
I
It's been
think,
like the third
I
race
mean,
of the season since we saw him on the podium.
yeah, it was, well, it's like when his season took the downfall was when they went to Monaco, and that was end of
Oh
May.
yeah, you're
So
right.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're
it's
right. You're right.
definitely been just about 2 months. I mean, really, if you look at the calendar now,
Yeah.
we're at the end of July. Yeah, so yeah, Perez back on the podium, and then Verstappen obviously gets a fast lap. We'll take a quick gander at the points. I mean, not that the driver standings mean anything. Verstappen is your points leader, 281, 110 points over Perez, 142 over Alonso. It's looking like that's pretty much how it's going to finish this season. I mean, barring anything crazy happening. And then for the constructors, Red Bull's just way out ahead, but the battle is still for second with Mercedes and Aston Martin. Mercedes is at 223 and Aston's at 184. And then now I guess it's time we talk about the Cup race. We did the live watch party there on Sunday. The High Point 400 at Pocono. My pick going in was William Byron to win the race. He did end up qualifying on pole. We had an early caution, lap 5 with JJ Yaley. Not much to talk about there. We saw Logano end up winning stage 1. Stayed out on the track when a lot of other people around him pitted. And then we got a restart there, lap 36. This starts the snowball effect of just absolute disaster by stage racing in NASCAR. But Logano and Suarez end up wrecking out of this race. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard the audio or anything from Logano after this incident with the tow truck guys, but he was very unpleased with the process. We talked about it live on stream, right? This whole scenario started because no interliners in the tires, right? And then they don't have a good, successful way to extract these cars from the track. You even mentioned it, right? With the access roads. They didn't even take a single access road to get him back to pit road. They took him all the way around the track. I mean, what are we doing?
Another thing I thought about, and I didn't really, it didn't really come to me during the race there, but why couldn't they just take him to the apron? Because, well, where Joey Logano wrecked, it was at the end of the front straightaway, right? Why didn't they just take him to the apron and go to pit road? Pit road's closed. They can't go down it anyways.
Yeah, that is
You know,
weird. Why didn't they just do that? Go reverse down pit road. Yeah.
and we sat there for like 35 freaking minutes for them to run 3 restarts and wreck every time. So
Yeah.
I mean, what was another 5 minutes for them to close down pit road and take Joey Logano to his pit box instead of
Right.
having to go all the way around? Insane to me, just insane.
Yeah, absolutely insane. And to your point, right? We have that caution that doesn't need to be there. It's basically manufactured racing when you bring a caution out for a stage. And like you mentioned, we just had caution after caution. We had a caution on lap 42, Austin Dillon spinning. Caution on lap 46 restart with Larson spinning and backward into the wall. I mean, it was, yeah, like you said, it was about 35 minutes of wasted time just watching them do pace laps and restarting and crashing. I mean, when we didn't even need it. We didn't need it.
Yeah.
Just keep it green. It's Pocono. It always puts for good fuel strategy in racing. But then we'll talk about that more in a minute with the new car, right? I guess the big incident here at the end of stage 2, it was Larson was trying to get to pit road to pit before the end of the stage. Unfortunately, wasn't able to because Bell spun with lap 92. This kind of changed the race, right? Because now Larson ends up winning stage 2, kind of inherited that stage win because they weren't intentionally going for it. Then he has to pit, puts him back in the field. That kind of changes how stage 3 played out. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But first, I want to talk about the caution on lap 55 when Austin Dillon, in my opinion, wrecked himself off the nose of Tyler Reddick, right? I mean, that's pretty much as easiest way you could say it, right? Not only does he wreck himself, he makes himself look like an absolute buffoon with the helmet throw, man. The helmet throw. Clown show, clown hour. The more I watch it back, the more ridiculous it was. I mean, if you're going to throw a helmet, at least throw it the distance, right? I think Jared said it best. Getting hit in the head affects your ability to throw like a boy. I mean,
that was honestly, I'm embarrassed for Austin Dillon. I am. I just, good Lord, man. Put some arc on it if you have to. And lead the dang car, man. Just lead the car. What are you doing? You almost threw
right?
it at freaking Eric Jones behind him, or whoever the car was. You know? Just
How ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Oh,
like,
I'm curious if he's going to get a fine. I mean,
I think he did. I think he got fined $5,000.
I don't think that's enough.
I mean, give the poor man a break, man. His ego is just gone right now.
I don't think he really cares. I really don't. I mean, this dude's going to be around as long as he wants to be, and he can continue to make a fool of himself.
That's true. Yep.
And as I mentioned earlier with Larson inheriting that stage win, it ends up changing his strategy. He ends up taking 2 tires. Denny Hamlin takes 2 tires. They end up leaping Truex and Bowman at this point, who were on 4 tires, who were the net leaders. I mean, I guess the way to explain this next stint here is 2 tires, right? 2 tires outrunning 4 tires? I mean, what has happened to NASCAR? 2 tires is a gamble you take, right? When it's the end of a race, late race restart, maybe I'll take 2 tires and see if I can hang on to the lead. Not something that is a viable option strategy that's actually going to beat somebody on 4 tires. What has NASCAR become? I mean, what is your thoughts?
I think it's a crappy car. I think it's a crappy tire. I think that I don't think the single lug. I think in high, or let's see, in the development stages of this car, the single lug was probably a pretty good idea. But why are we going to a single lug system when our American stock cars here still have 5 lugs? You know, why are we doing that? You know, why did we put big, huge diffusers on the rear of these cars? And I just, there's so many questions, and it's just like, well, and obviously, Jay, hindsight is always 2020, but I mean, I feel like sometimes they were trying to make these cars to be like GTE cars or GTD cars, and then in other aspects they were trying to make them hypercars, and then in other aspects they were trying to make them Indy cars, and then on top of that they ripped a page out of the Caterpillar handbook for their D3000 series and just slammed it on the car, you know. And so I don't know. That I just think this is a jumbled freaking mess, and um, I don't think there's a way to fix this car. Honestly, I really do. I think you just scrap it and you retry.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great analogy to say that it's a car that doesn't know what it wants to be. It has no identity, right? No
Yeah,
identity at all.
it has no
And
identity.
and I mean the single lugs, like we've harped on this over and over and over again. I mean, I'm with you. I think we should just abandon it. I mean, it wouldn't be such a problem if it wasn't a weekly thing where a wheel came off. If that wasn't a problem, I mean, maybe we could be okay with it. But the fact that we have a wheel come off at basically 95% of the races on the schedule, like that is
Yeah,
just ridiculous. That needs to be addressed. And I don't think it's the teams that are doing it. I don't think it's the equipment. I think it's just the design is what's doing
yeah,
it. And I have some more I want to talk about here, but I kind of want to cap the rest of this race off real quick, especially the incident we had at the end here. We had caution with 12 to go. Hamlin behind Bowman ends up basically taking the air off his rear of his car, upsetting it. He goes up the track, ends up killing his day. And then we had that late race restart with Hamlin and Larson. Hamlin got a great restart behind Larson, pushed him into turn one, got side by side with him, and then absolutely ran him into the wall. I mean, we basically gave you our opinions of that live. My opinion on it really hasn't changed a whole lot. You can see what you saw, but really my thought on this whole thing comes back to everybody's comments, right? I mean, people are talking about how that was his only viable option to beat Larson in this situation, which comes back to the car. If this car is so bad that your only way to win is to wall somebody, then it's not the racing's fault, it's the car's fault, right? If literally your only option is to run a guy into the wall to win a race because you can't pass him when you're faster like he claimed to be, then what's the point, man? What is the
well,
point?
I don't even think it's that, Jay. I think that these cars are designed so bad you cannot stay in traffic like what we've seen with previous cars. The COT was a great or is a great example for this. I mean, just real quick flashback, all the COT cars that we saw at Pocono always in bunches. 2, 3 wide, sometimes going through the tunnel turn, and then 6 and 7 going down the front straightaway. I think, and we didn't really see. We saw a 5 wide situation with these next gen cars, one time or two times. I'm sorry, um, during the entire race. And I don't think that. I don't think that this is a driver issue because put yourself in Denny Hamlin's shoes, and you're coming off of turn one there, and you've got somebody on your outside with 4 tires. You've got 2 tires. I mean, you want to win the race, right? Hell yeah, I'm gonna put that guy in the wall. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do it. Absolutely. You can judge me all you want. I'll put that guy in the wall, especially when it comes to well, Danny Hamlin's reputation as I mean, an amazing driver at Pocono with all of the wins that he has there. But I just purely believe that again, it goes back to the car where we do not see competitive racing. I think that a little blame goes on NASCAR and Goodyear for the tire compounds that they bring, but mostly it's the car.
Mm-hmm.
I just I honestly don't think it or my opinion, I don't think it really uh is the driver's fault for the on track action that we see or don't see or lack thereof or whatever. I think a lot of it has to do with the car.
Yeah, I 100% has to do with the car because listening to Hamlin's comments alone, he said that these cars, when you get side by side like that, It's just going to give aero wash to the guy on the outside and to yourself, and it's going to put you where you both go up the track, and one of you is going to eat the wall, whoever's the highest up on the track. So if I know me and you watched it this weekend, the highlight of, I believe it was an ARCA race at Dover earlier this year between Landon Lewis and Jake's, his last name's escaping me, but Jake Finch, right? If you guys have a chance, go watch that last restart between those two side by side at Dover. Those guys didn't have to wall each other. They ran hard. The guy on the inside driving up on his door, the guy on the outside driving it down on his door, side by side, beating off each other, giving each other plenty of room down the straightaways, not running each other off up the track on the corner. That is what we could have if we build a car good enough to race. There's the only option shouldn't be, the only way I could pass this guy is I got to put him in the wall. That's the car's fault. That's not the driver's fault. Driver's doing everything he can to win the race because that's what he's paid to do, is to go win the damn race. And if you're going to give him a car where his only chance to win a race, especially when he's got a better car, is he's got to put the guy in the wall, then we got to redesign the car. Because these ARCA cars can run side by side at Dover just fine for 2 laps, battling for a win. Why can't we see that in the Cup Series? Why do we have to put each other in the wall to win a race? Redesign the car. That's all you need to do. Go back, build an Xfinity car, and just scrap this car, take the Xfinity car, and just add more horsepower, fix your tires, and just run that as a Cup car now. That's what we need to do. We need to just abandon what we've done and just go back to that.
I would really like to see this next-gen car with an extremely soft compound. And you know what? And actually, you know what? We talked about this before. You give the teams, look, this tire is rated for 30 laps. Anything after that is on you. And then let the fun begin, man. Let it begin. That would be awesome. You know, we'd get some great green flag run pit stops. We'd be getting some great strategies. I mean, with the stage racing, we don't get that strategy anymore. It's whoever pushes the hardest for the track position who wins the races. Hardly do we ever see the fastest car win the race.
Yeah. Or you got to throw away potential stage points and stage wins so you can be in position to win the race. Yeah. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Why do you have to forgo getting points to win the race? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Look, I'll change my opinion on the next gen cars. I'll start it right now. Okay. I am giving the next gen car one more chance if we get a softer tire compound and we can see what the product of the racing is after that. If it works, great. Let's develop off of that. If it doesn't, scrap it.
Yeah, I think that's the only Hail Mary there's left in this. I mean, I hear all these people talking about how these last 4 weeks have been the best weeks of racing ever, and they're not. They're really not. I mean, if you were blind, you think that they are, because you let's just look back at the last 4 weeks. We had Chicago Street Course. The reason everybody loved that race so much is because Shane Van Gisbergen won the race. I mean, honestly, it was probably the best race, as in racing competition, as in actually being able to use your car and your ability to be better than the guy in front of you. But other than that, I mean, that's all you had with that race. Then you had Atlanta. Second worst race of the year. Probably, I would probably rank it worse than the first Atlanta race, or maybe a little better than the first Atlanta race. But still, worst race of the year, right? And then New Hampshire. That race was absolute garbage. We didn't see any tire wear whatsoever. The cars are basically just get in a line and drive around. There's no comers and goers. There's no strategy. There's no driving talent to save your tire. No strategy involved with the stages. And then we had this weekend with Pocono, one of the most iconic strategy ovals in all of racing, right? It's always been that. And we didn't get any of it. Not one bit of it. And to win a race, you have to wall somebody because the car is just so garbage you can't run side by side and race for a win. So, I mean, that's really all I got. I mean, Denny Hamlin wins the race, 50th career win, and becomes all-time winningest driver at Pocono. So, congratulations to Denny Hamlin. And I mean, there's nothing else you can really say about how terrible these races have been those last few weeks.
I will say this though, the move that Denny Hamlin did put on Kyle Larson, awesome. I dig it.
And we're gonna see more of it, right? We're gonna see way more of it.
I think it's great for the sport. When you've got Chad Knaus holding back his tongue in the pit lane area after that wreck, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the fans can't be mad. If you're going to be mad at Denny Hamlin over that, then you can't tell me you love the racing you've seen, because you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what NASCAR is now. NASCAR is tires don't mean anything. You can't pass. You can't use your driving ability because the cars don't allow you to be a driver anymore. They're all the same. I mean,
Yep.
and if you want to win a race, you just got to go wall the guy. You know, just get an amazing restart and wall him, and you win. And you win. So
Wall him or hail Melon.
which they outlawed that because apparently that's
Yeah.
that's
Oh, yeah,
not
they did.
allowed.
Dang it.
Yeah, that's not allowed. Oh, you can't make turn
Big
1 at
Daddy
Indianapolis
NASCAR.
Road Course because they ran you off the track. So you use the access road that's completely in the rule book, and then you're gonna finish dead last because we don't like the way you did that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
NASCAR
yeah.
for you, Big Daddy NASCAR.
Big Daddy NASCAR.
Welcome to modern day NASCAR. NASCAR is definitely the Cup Series in NASCAR is probably one of the top bottom tier racing series in the world right now. It's without a doubt in my mind.
Mid.
Yeah, it's so mid, dude. It's like the Cup Series is like the WNBA, and the Xfinity is like the is like the NBA. Like, there's a huge gap between the Xfinity and Cup right now. It's crazy. All right, so next we're gonna go over the driver of the week, bonehead of the week segments. Driver of the week, as we mentioned, Andres Perez, P3 in the ARCA race. One of the best cars all day. Unfortunately, didn't get the dub, but P3 is respectable. And next is Ken Schrader, P4 in SRX. I just wanted to note that because, I mean, Ken Schrader is like 95 years old and well beyond any racing prime. So to get a P4 in an SRX race when it's basically a demolition derby anymore, great job by him. That's awesome. Love to see it. And then also I want to mention Matthew Brabham, P4 in Indiana NXT with Jukos Hollinger. He's the guy that replaced Nannini. This guy gets P4 in an Indiana NXT race at Iowa. How crazy is that? That's awesome. And then for our bonehead of the week, we have Sean Corr. We showed you the video, ARCA break moment to the max. And then also I wanted to nominate Hunter McElroy, like just losing talent, driving in the corner, taking out Nolan Siegel. I mean, the lack of self-awareness, taking out a championship contender for, I think it was like for second or third. I mean, what's the difference, right? Just ridiculous. And then obviously you got to throw Austin Dillon up here with the helmet throw failure. This dude threw a helmet about 2 feet in front of him, bouncing off the ground like a basketball. Just absolute failure and embarrassment to anybody and everybody that is alive right now on the planet Earth. And then we'll talk about Cup points real quick because this is kind of the talking point. Truex Jr. has extended his points lead over Byron. He's at 7-11. He's 30 points ahead of Byron and 55 points ahead of Hamlin, who is now third in points. And then the cut line, right? McDowell is 16th in points, 17 points ahead of Allmendinger, who is 17th, 17 points back from McDowell. So weren't those the two guys you picked to point in? And they're running 16th, 17th right now. That's both very realistic to making. I don't think Bubba's too far ahead of McDowell in points either. So
I think it's plus 23 from the cut
Yeah.
line, or 20.
that sounds right.
24 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not much.
Not
It's
much.
Not much.
Not much at all. Yeah. So very, very good for those two to make it. I mean, it really. I think that's kind of who it's down to. Unless somebody wins, I don't think anybody else new is going to win. The way that the schedule lays out here. So I think we're looking kind of at the playoff picture right there. I mean, I think that's where we're at. Alrighty. So now it is time to preview the races this weekend. We have the SRX at Motor Mile. We got Trucks and Cup at Richmond, Xfinity at Road America, and then F1, F2 at Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix weekend. Notable entries, SRX. We have Kyle Busch making his first start of SRX this season. We got Joseph Newgarden and Elio Castroneves coming over to run an SRX, as well as Clint Boyer. He is back in SRX this weekend. In the truck series, we got Swallich in the number 1 Tricon truck. Matt Mills. I mean, wow. I didn't ever think this guy was going to get an opportunity at something big like this for KBM in the 51. And then Mr. Connor Jones. I mean, we've kind of bagged on this guy a lot this season, but he'll be in the number 66 Thor Sport truck. And then Xfinity at Road America, we have AJ Allmendinger in the number 10 Colleague All-Star car, Mosack in the number 19 JGR car. That's a big moment for Mosack because he has got a lot of road racing experience in a JGR car this weekend. That's cool. Sage Karam will be in the number 24 Sam Hunt racing car. And then I just wanted to note it because I don't think we've seen this guy race in NASCAR in a long time. Stanton Barrett in the number 35 for Emmeline Gase.
Oh.
And then in the Cup Series is Ryan Newman in the number 51 Rick Ware racing car. Let's go over picks, right? So Thursday, the SRX race at Motor Mile. My favorite is Kyle Busch. I think he's going to win this weekend. I feel like this is a type of car that he is going to just excel in, right? It's got a car with a little bit of weight to it, a lot of horsepower, a lot of wheel spin, tire conservation. I don't think anybody's really going to bully him around the track like they normally would. So I think he's my favorite. I think he can do it. And then for my dark horse, I'm just going to take Newgarden. I mean, this guy can drive ovals. I know this is a complete off the wall, out of his realm type thing, but I don't know. I think it'd be cool to see Newgarden do good. So who do you got?
Yeah, of course. I think Bush is a great choice. Just because of raw driving talent. I think that man can. Everybody says Kyle Larson can jump in any car and win it. I think Kyle Busch can too. I think it's something with the name of Kyle. I think there's a lot of Kyles out there that can drive cars. But so I got Busch, and then for my dark horse, I don't really know if he's a dark horse or not. But I'm gonna go Tracy, just because it's Paul Tracy, man. I freaking love that dude. He's not a likable person.
No.
But you know what I like about him? He puts Haley Deegan in her place. That's for sure.
That's some facts. He'll bulldoze his way to the front. I mean, I could definitely see that being a viable option. That's awesome. And maybe he'll gain some ground on Newman, right? Get back in this championship battle. Can you imagine Paul Tracy, SRX champion, next to his name? How crazy would that be? Alrighty. So then Saturday, we have the Truck Series, the Worldwide Express 250 at Richmond. I'm taking Corey Heim again, man. I'm so high on Corey Heim this season. I just can't think of anybody else to take ever. I mean, this guy is just on a roll. And then for a dark horse, I think he's due, man. I think he is just working his way up to getting his first career dub. He's in great equipment. He can't qualify up front every week, can't run so well every week without getting a dub, or at least put himself in position to maybe get a dub. I'm taking Nick Sanchez in my dark horse. I mean, who do you got?
I got Majeski as a favorite just because short track king there. And I hope that he can get something done. I think it could possibly be a long shot, but I think it's Richmond, man. I mean, it's going to be a crazy race. But then for my dark horse, I'm definitely going Sawalich, man. I think it'd be crazy if you don't think that Sawalich would have a chance at anything. I think that I think Sawalich is a future Truck Series champion. I really do. If he gets with the right people, right? But I'm really high on Sawalich. And also to your point with Sanchez here, I agree. I think he's a fantastic driver. Him and Raja Caruth,
And Jake Garcia.
And Heim.
Yeah, and Heim.
Are the next faces of the Truck Series for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the future's bright in the Truck Series. We see a lot of these guys come in 1-2 years with no expectations, and they're out here outperforming 3-year veterans. It's just amazing what these guys can do. And then the Xfinity Series, the Henry 180 at Road America. I am taking AJ Allmendinger as my favorite. He's in the All-Star Colleague car. This man in Xfinity on road courses is undeniable. He's going to do it again. I mean, taking away from being in a tough Cup Series battle for the championship to leave to go to Road America for a Saturday to compete against these guys, I just think he's got a chip on his shoulder. I think that just shows a vote of confidence. He's going to get it done. And my dark horse, I have to do it, man. I just have to. It's that time again, man. I've taken a break for a little while off this guy. We're bringing it back out, man. I'm coming back out of here, out of this fog. Sheldon Creed is my dark horse, man. I am doing it. I am doing it. I'm doing it today. Now or never. Sheldon Creed. He's gonna be my dark horse. Maybe he can get redemption from what was it at Coda earlier this year when him and Allmendinger got into it for the win. I mean, maybe the roles are reversed here. A little bit of reverse karma come back to his side. Sheldon Creed, my dark horse. Who do you got?
All right. I'm gonna go with Austin Hill. He's coming off a pretty good momentum win there at Pocono. And he finished third last year, so he's got a pretty strong setup coming into this weekend. And I think that he could possibly get it done. You know, probably one of the big championship favorites there. But then my dark horse, I'm kind of going on a limb here. A few years ago, him and Matt Tift got into it, coming up the hill to the start finish line. He ended up taking the win, but you can't count this guy out because he just has so much heart and a half a hand. But I'm gonna go with Clements, Jeremy Clements. That man, I think that he could. He could get something. If not, I think he has an opportunity for a great finish.
You'd love to see it. All right. And then Saturday, Sunday is the F2 Spa-Francorchamps Grand Prix. We're not going to make picks on that because anybody can win in Formula 2. And again, it is Formula 2. And then Sunday, Formula 1 Grand Prix, the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. Favorite dark horse is what to expect. I mean, what else do you expect besides a Verstappen dominant performance? I believe he goes 8 in a row. 8 in a row. Grand Prix victories for Verstappen. How crazy would that be? And then for my dark horse, I think that they're going to get a little bit of redemption. And plus, I think this guy's my favorite guy in all of Formula 1. I'm a huge fan of this guy. Esteban Ocon with Alpine. I think this is the week they get a rebound. They get back on the podium, man. I think he's due for one. I want to see him in a better ride. I'm a huge fan of Esteban Ocon. Who do you got, Tom?
For my favorites, I've got Charles Leclerc. I'm just kidding. That's stupid. Of course, I'm going Verstappen. Of course, Red Bull with Verstappen. Yeah. Okay, dark horse. You know what? I'm going with Ricardo again. I think him finishing P14 at Hungary, a very technical track, with rear diffuser damage, is insane. What he did in that car. So I think it just goes to show that you know what, he is not out of this. He is fully committed. This is something that he's looking at as a second chance, and I think he's taken full opportunity. We're going to see some AlphaTauri scoring some points this weekend at Spa with Ricardo. Absolutely.
Heck yeah. I like the hype. The hype train for Ricardo is live. I like it.
Yes.
Heck yeah. So then Sunday, we got 5 races left for the playoffs. We got the Cookout 400 at Richmond. Favorites, dark horse, what to expect. I mean, the same thing we've seen week in, week out. Tires don't mean anything at all. I mean, if someone's going to win this weekend, I called it on Sunday. I think that on Sunday, precursor to who I was going to pick for the rest of the races this season. And this is the guy I have at Richmond. I've had him for a while, pegged to win this race. I'm taking Kevin Harvick. I think he gets it done. I think he gets his final career win right here this weekend at Richmond. Wins in his final season, Swan Song season, has a great victory celebration, gets career 161, ends off his career, locks himself into the playoffs, etc., before he gets eliminated harshly later on. But Kevin Harvick is going to get a send-off moment this week, and he's going to take the dub. And my dark horse, I'm taking him because, like I said, I think he's one of those guys that could point his way in. I still think he's going to win before the playoffs as well. And he's in a Toyota, and you know how good Toyotas are at Richmond. I'm taking Ty Gibbs. I'm a huge believer in Ty Gibbs. Huge fan. So that's who I got. Who do you got, Tom?
Yeah, so my favorites, I originally put Chastain, and the reason why I put Chastain is because of his performance at Nashville, and their short track package there was really good. I was thinking that it could translate to Richmond, but you know what? There's just nothing that can beat the Toyotas right now at Richmond. And you know what? I'm going to change it from Chastain to Truex because that man is on an absolute roll, and Toyota is just so freaking strong there. His crew chief has just been on point lately. I can't see anybody else but Truex just coming out this weekend and just putting on a dominant performance. I really just don't see anybody else. I really don't. It's really hard for me to choose anybody else except for anybody in that Joe Gibbs camp. So, and then with that being said, a dark horse, and I firmly do believe he is still a dark horse, still chasing his first win, trying to get some good finishes in order. But Ty Gibbs, man, again, it's really hard to choose anybody outside of Toyota right now to win this race. They're just so freaking strong, man. And I'm not going to go out and say that you're crazy for choosing anybody else but Gibbs, because I mean anything can happen. Somebody, Ryan Newman could stay out on 80 lap old tires and compete with Truex, who's got fresh tires in second place and win the race. You know what I mean? But like, I just really don't. I find it really, really, really hard to choose anybody else other than Joe Gibbs right now.
Alrighty. Well, I guess that's time for NASCAR fantasy, right? We get 5 driver lineup and then pick some matchups. My lineup is going to be Kevin Harvick because I'm riding that bandwagon. Brad Keselowski because his short track game this season's been on point. I'm going to take Todd Gilliland because I want to save McDowell a little bit, so I'm going to use his teammate Gilliland here. And then I haven't used Reddick a whole lot this season. I know he ran terrible there earlier this year, but maybe he turns it around. I'm just going to put him on a wing, go with Reddick, and then obviously I'm taking Gibbs. I just think he's going to be on point this weekend. Who do you got?
Yeah, so it's going to be completely different than the spiel I just went on there, because I'm going to try to use some drivers that I haven't used a lot. So I'm going to go with Bowman. I'm going to go with Bubba Wallace, Ty Gibbs, Chase Elliott, which, he's further back in points in my receding hairline. And then you've got the 34 car of McDowell, and I am going to use McDowell right now because I feel like right now that team is kind of in a do or die situation, and they're going to be throwing everything they got at it. I think right now, I think right now that choosing the 34 car up into the playoffs is going to be a good choice because of that reason. So I think the 34 can give us a lot of points up into the playoffs. So I think I'm going to ride that train all the way through in hopes that he does make the playoffs.
Alrighty. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot I want to talk about McDowell, but we can get to that with the playoff prediction podcast in a few weeks from now. But next is the matchups. We got Reddick and or Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon. I'm just Tyler Reddick. There's just nothing else to say.
Yeah, Tyler Reddick. Yeah.
And then they give us a pretty interesting matchup, right? It seems like they do this every week. When two guys get into it, they end up becoming a matchup the next week. So we got Hamlin and Larson. I'm going to take Larson over Hamlin, and it's just the only reason is because of the revenge factor, and he also won there earlier this year. So that's it.
I'm going to take Hamlin over Larson because Toyota. I just have to.
And then the next one is Priest LaJoy. I mean, this is another good one. I mean, like same with the Larson Hamlin one, right? They had a little altercation after the race there between those two. So then guess what NASCAR does? Puts them in a matchup against each other. I'm just going to take Priest over LaJoy, and I think it's going to be by like one position, like 23rd and 24th at the end.
Yes. I don't think you could go wrong with either of these cars right now, to be honest with you. The 41 doesn't have it. The 7 is underfunded. I mean, pick your poison, man. Pick your poison.
Yeah. And this next one's a good one, too. I mean, you got Harvick and Bell. And I'm taking Harvick just purely because I'm on the Harvick bandwagon this week. And nobody's going to be more of a Harvick fan than me this weekend. I think he's going to finish higher than Bell. I think he's going to win the damn race. I'm saying it now. Bold prediction.
I got Bell over Harvick again. Toyota.
Alrighty. Well,
that's about it.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much summarizes your fantasy right there. All right, next is the final segment here, which is the radioactive of the week, and the quote is, "Hook it up, hook the blank up." If you can guess which driver said this, in the post after this podcast. You're going to get a shout out in the next week's episode. And this one should be easy. I mean, if you can't guess this one, I mean, I basically just threw you an easy worm if you were a fish in a small pond. Alrighty. Now, that is it. I mean, that basically summarizes the podcast there. One thing I do want to mention, this poll will actually be out in 5 minutes from right now. So just right after we finish this. The races for this month's August watch party include August 6th, we have IMSA Sports Car Weekend at Road America. That one's going to be a very interesting. I love Road America, and then we're going to see some GTP cars zooming around there. I would love to see that one. If you guys want to vote for that one as well. Also, IndyCar on August 12th, the Gallagher Grand Prix at the Indianapolis Road Course. Come check that one out. That would be a pretty fun one to watch. Piggybacking off of that would be Sunday for the Cup race, August 13th, the Verizon 200. I mean, I'm sure this one's going to win. I mean, this is the most star-studded field in NASCAR's probably history. I mean, this is crazy what is going to be in this race. So that's an option. And then the final one in F1, August 27th, the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. If you guys want to see that one, vote for that one. But those are your options. That poll should be out here in any minute here. So go ahead and take a vote on that one, as well as our Bonehead Driver of the Week, and then Guess the Radioactive of the Week after the podcast. I guess I will hand it over to Tom for anything to do with broadcasting from here.
Yeah, just we're still doing the same stuff here on Thursday nights. We're still kind of in the works with what we want going on, but it looks like we're going to be doing a really cool road series on Sundays now. That's going to be looking like it's going to be a GTD Pro and a GTD AM, and possibly adding in some hypercars there. So that's going to be very fun. We've got a really good group of guys who've been joining our series there. We're going to be seeing some new names, some new faces, lots of fun on Sundays. And just that has been announced. So I feel like I'm safe to say so with that. And we still got Thursdays coming on, so make sure you guys tune in on Thursdays to hear Jay and I talk about some really good short track racing and broadcasting this short track racing series with some of the best drivers on the service. So make sure you guys come out with that. A great partnership we have with Nexus Sim Racing, and hopefully plenty more. If you guys see an opportunity for you guys to come out and put your logo on something, or you guys want to help us out a little bit, just feel free to contact us. We've got our email on our page on YouTube. So and feel free to reach out. We'd love to talk to you guys and maybe work something out and have a cool little deal going on there. So with that being said, I just want to say that I appreciate everybody who does come out and watch us. I myself, I have a pretty good time. I don't know about you, Jay, but I know you have a great time. I have a great time too. It's always fun. I love going out there and calling all the action on tracks. So I think that if it's enjoyable for us, it'll totally be enjoyable for you guys. So just come on out, have some fun with us. We love it when you guys interact with us in the comment section. We love talking with you guys as well. So come out then, man. We have a great time.
Heck yeah, I love that old NSR broadcast and stuff. Super excited. And Thursday, like Tom said, we'll see you guys Thursday. We're another great short track race. I guess now I just want to say thanks to everybody. I mean, we got up to like 400 and something odd subscribers right now, just coming out and enjoying all of our content. We got lots more content still on the way, lots of cool ideas that we've been kind of working on and tweaking with a little bit here and there. So some big stuff coming in the future, so stay in tabs. Let everybody know about us, our channel. Tell everybody in your family, tell your friends. If you're from Alabama, tell your Uncle Pa. Just make sure everybody knows about our channel. Share it with the world. If you love auto racing, you love motorsports, I mean, this is the best platform on YouTube. You cannot deny it. We have got all the content you could want from every type of racing just about. And we just love bringing it to you. I mean, we love all the interaction. We love giving you our perspective because it's a little different off beat than what you're gonna hear anywhere else because it's coming from true ideas and opinions. So again, thanks to you, Tom, for coming out here and doing this. I mean, making a sacrifice in this hotel room, come out here and talk racing with me here tonight for you guys. And thanks to everyone subscribing. And make sure, like I said, just share it along. Share it along. Come join the Dega Boys community. We love it.
Hey,
and
also, aren't we doing a 500 subscriber giveaway?
yeah, we've talked about this. So if once we hit the 500 subs, yeah, we'll do a giveaway. I'm not exactly sure what we want to do exactly yet. We've kind of talked about it a little bit. Maybe we'll give away a t-shirt. Maybe we'll give away a t-shirt. Maybe that would be something we could do. That would be very fun. Shows a little bit of appreciation. And like I said on Sunday, don't unsubscribe and then wait till the 500th and then resubscribe because we see you. We know if you've done that. We've got it all documented. We will know. So don't do that. But maybe you can convince your cousin or your brother or your sister or your uncle Pa to be that 500th, and maybe they can gift it to you because you shared it along to them. So keep that in mind. Alrighty. Well, I guess we'll wrap this up. I mean, we got a little bit of racing this weekend with Formula One, NASCAR. SRX is always fun to watch. Closing in on the playoffs, right? It's the time of year. Everything's getting tightened up with all the points, battles, and everything this season. And we'll be back next week to preview everything that we talked about tonight and share some more news. Crazy stuff been going on. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. This has been episode 26. We're the Dega Boys. Catch you guys in the next one.